half in the bag.
Why is that tape so small?
Because it's a beta tape, Jay. The new service that we offer, 10 cents per VHS rewind for those that don't have the time to rewind all their VHS tapes. I took on a client that has, 100 Star Trek original series tapes, and the fucking client neglected to tell me that they're beta. I can't rewind beta in a VHS rewinder. And it doesn't even close. It's because it's not designed for this kind of tape. So what am I out? $1.60? How are we going to survive in this business climate, Jay?
You do one, I'll do one. We'll have it done by Christmas.
This business sucks.
Hey, you know how we can make some extra money? We've got that whole stack of VHS copies of The French Connection back there, unedited. Let's sell those on eBay for $5,000 each.
So you want to start an underground bootleg business where we sell movies that Disney has edited?
Yeah, why not?
Under the table?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be like Video Nasty in the UK.
We got all those copies of The Little Mermaid back there with that dick on the cover. Mm-hmm. Those are going to go for a fortune now.
Well, it's a good thing everyone has access to the new film Fool's Paradise, written and directed by Charlie Day.
I'm going to do my own censored edit of this movie where it's 15 minutes long.
With the proper amount of care, it's possible that he could regain his understanding of the world.
It's the movie YouTube commenters are raving about. Will Simmons says, "Did this already come out?" AB3 says, "Why is this not showing at any theaters or streaming anywhere?" Worrywart says, "Yeah, nah." And of course, who can forget Los Ravaso 007, who says, "I tried to watch this movie, and it was just horrible, the worstiest movie out there, after that Cleopatra Black wannabe." I don't know what that's in reference to. This is a random one, this movie that we're doing.
Well, yeah, okay, so here's the story. I saw the trailer for this a little while ago, and, I was like, oh, look, it's Charlie Day. I like Charlie Day. The trailer looked funny. And then it came out, and it had horrible, horrible reviews. What went wrong? What happened? I've got to watch this out of just morbid curiosity, and to give it a fair shake, kind of take a look at it, and just, do a post-mortem on it.
Would have been a lot more interesting if it was a gigantic train wreck.
It would have been.
It has all the makings of that. A guy cashing in, a Hollywood actor cashing in all the favors from every friend he's ever made in Hollywood. They all show up, all of his horrible bosses, co-stars, and...
Glenn Howerton is in Greek Face.
Well, no, there's ways around that. You got a lot to learn, kid. You want the job or what, eh?
Yeah, he's got a beard. I thought it would have been funny. He shows up as like is that the agent, the Edie Falco character?
Yeah.
And she has her whole entourage.
She's the head agent.
Yeah. But she has all these other people. And it's like, you pay this person 5%, you pay this person 10%. And he's just there, like looking at his phone or something. I was like, that'd be funny if that was his only part. And he didn't have any lines, but then he shows up later. Who else is in this? Everybody's in this.
Well, I have a list.
Oh, my Lord. Oh, okay.
I have a list. And we'll talk about that first. But I wanted to say I loved this movie.
I mean...
I'm not trying to be a contrarian. And no, I didn't love it. I was fascinated by it and intrigued and mystified and confounded, and it's either one of two things. It's either Charlie Day thinking he wrote a brilliant satire and thinking he's the new Wes Anderson, or it's the new Freddy Got Fingered.
I was thinking...
He's making it supremely tongue-in-cheek.
I was wondering about that in terms of, because yeah, it's a satire on Hollywood, but it's so stale.
Look, that guy's the head of the studio over there. All his teeth are fake, by the way. I'll say hi later. Oh, see her? The one who looks like a model? Don't look. She's actually a prostitute. Let's do 2 of the salmon salad. Hold the salmon because of the mercury. No cheese or fatty nuts of any kind on there, please. No dressing. Just the lettuce rinsed thoroughly with Evian water. We're going to split that.
All the tropes, everything you've ever heard, the greedy agent,
To
a point where I was like, is this a satire on Hollywood satires?
yes.
And I don't think it is.
Almost being self-aware of how bad it
Almost,
is.
yeah.
And there's like, if this were like a little graph or whatever, and it's like brilliant satire, self-aware, crappity. That's a crappy comedy. The needle is like going like this constantly for me, how in your face it is.
Art in this joint is very rare. All has a story behind it.
The difference being, though, even if you were to look at it from that lens, like Freddy Got Fingered is very funny.
Yeah.
In this movie, I did not laugh once.
Oh, I laughed quite a bit.
Okay.
I laughed
Was it
at-
one of those things where you weren't sure if you were laughing with or at it? Because I was just stone-faced through most of the movie. And it's not like I said, it's not a train wreck. It's not unwatchable. But it's just, I hope you like the one joke, which is that Charlie Day doesn't talk, and he just does what everybody tells him to do, and they all interpret their own meaning on it.
Yeah, well, okay. Here's the premise. Charlie Day plays a mute, not a deaf mute, but a mute, who has the intellectual capacity of either a 5-year-old or a Labrador Retriever. So he's just like this blank slate.
The first scene with him is in the hospital where a doctor's giving all
Yes,
this exposition.
Yes, and the exposition's given, and
which I thought was a setup for a character growth at some point throughout the movie.
Possibly caused by some severe trauma, the loss of a loved one. It's hard to say. The patient has lost the ability to speak.
Because they're like, this could happen if someone experiences trauma. It's like, oh, that's where the movie's going to go. And at some point, he's going to remember oh, no. It's just an excuse for him to be Charlie Chaplin for the whole movie.
yes, Charlie Chaplin in a Wes Anderson wannabe film with commentary on the Hollywood movie system, which is
Stale commentary.
stale. It seems a bit out of step. So yeah, he doesn't say a word the whole movie, and he resembles a asshole star who looks exactly like him, who's playing Billy the Kid
Billy the Kid, yeah.
in a Western. And he's like a method actor. He's in case this picks up on camera, I adjusted.
Oh, okay.
So, I made a sound like this with my thumb on the leather seat.
Well, now you've made it so much worse.
Well, I just want to clarify, because if that particular sound made it in, then the internet would be aflutter.
Well, the sound is going to make it in.
Okay.
Your explanation, though.
Happened again. Ray Liotta just coincidentally happens to run into mute Charlie Day, happy-go-lucky Charlie Chaplin, selling oranges. And he's
The whole thing is he accidentally stumbles into everything.
yeah, without getting into every detail, but he
But that's important, because that's what confused me as far as what the satire is supposed to be. With his character just stumbling into everything. I guess having no agency and no particular talents, but just keeps failing upwards because everybody keeps pushing him in one direction or another. I was like, well, what is that saying about Hollywood or stars? Or I was very confused on what the focus of the
message
the satire was.
You could really make a smart satire about that, but you'd have to put some sort of modern day twist on it, like Armie Hammer. Everyone hates Armie Hammer because he's a handsome white guy whose every movie failed, and then I'm surprised that even after the cannibal incidents, he isn't still a star. So everyone's like, even before that, everyone's like, every Armie Hammer movie is like a disaster.
Tom Holland's kind of in that situation now, where anything that isn't Marvel related that he does is just
Yeah.
like a giant flop.
There's a race component to it because he's a white guy. He continues to get more opportunities when if he wasn't, and so that could be like some kind of edge to it. There's no mention of that in this though.
Whoa, bro.
So I think it's more like from his idea of it is that you can be a total blank slate of a person, just kind, happy, you smile at the world, you don't contribute, you don't say anything, and the Hollywood system scoops you up, chews you up, spits you out.
Molds you into what they think.
Yeah. The fact that he doesn't say a word is super obvious of what the idea is.
Well, it has to, if it's satire, it has to be satirizing something. There has to be some sort of focus of the commentary.
Hollywood.
But what about it?
That it's bad.
Oh!
Well, here's the thing.
Everybody's vapid, we get it. It makes fun of method actors, we get it. But as far as like his character and his rise in fame, rise and fall in fame.
His character arc is almost non-existent. The only thing that happens is that there's a counter character to it, a co-main character played by Ken Jeong.
Oh yes.
Who is also. He's the opposite, and I think this is intentional. Charlie Day is mute, but Ken Jeong is the opposite of mute. He's constantly talking and running his game. Blah, 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 blah. Let me in.
It's Red Bull. And
he's just wired. He wants to make it. He wants to be successful when Charlie Day just sort of stumbles into it. And so at the end, they realize that they're friends.
Well, they have a scene like an hour into the movie. Ken Jeong is just this cardboard agent character, cardboard cutout character. But then they have a scene where Charlie Day goes to his hotel room. And then they suddenly, like an hour into the movie, they try to give him some humanity.
Yeah.
And it's like this suddenly like maudlin emotional scene that comes out of nowhere. It's like, what are we doing?
See, and that's...
Sprinkle that in earlier and build him up as a real character.
That's the scene that I was laughing. Because I was just
Is that like the Freddie got fingered scene between him and his dad at the end?
You and I never really see eye to eye, but I learned something.
I can see that.
No, not just how to whack off an elephant.
Okay.
Yeah, except there wasn't that.
I don't know if I buy it.
But like Ken Jeong, what happens to him that sends him to... he has a heart attack. He gets from drinking too many energy drinks.
Yes.
And then he gives there's a nurse in the room and he gives this really long speech, and then I'm like, and cut to the nurse not being there. Right on target.
Yeah.
Latte pronto.
Excuse me, Mr. Pronto. Can I call you Latte?
Latte pronto.
Latte Pronto.
You're doing great. His name is Latte Pronto, which is, he got the name because fucking Ray Liotta was always saying Latte Pronto.
Yeah. After the first take, he yells it, and Ken Jeong just assumes he's yelling his name for some reason.
So he got his name.
It's pretty flimsy.
It's flimsy, but in that first scene when they're on the little cart and he comes on the lot to bring Charlie Day to the set of the Billy the Kid movie, they're doing the Wes Anderson.
Whip pan Wes
Yes.
Anderson's, yeah.
Ironically, one of my favorite Wes Anderson movies is The Darjeeling Limited, which has Adrian Brody in it.
Yeah.
And that movie is...
That's his whip panniest.
That's his most whip panniest movie. and that's the only little segment where he attempts any kind of Wes Anderson-ness, other than
There's
a lot of the flat comedy angles.
I got your chair, Mr. Pronto.
They're ready for you, Mr. Pronto.
It's like Edie Falco is the head agent, and she's got 12 people behind her, and they're all just kind of standing there.
Perfect dead center framing.
Yeah, it's very comedic, flat framing.
There's one other part where he tries to inject some style when they're at the rooftop party, and the camera's attached to the drink tray.
Yeah.
And he's following him along, which isn't. I guess it's kind of Wes Anderson-y, but
yeah,
it's at least an attempt at style. And most of the movie, which isn't even really a complaint, but most of it's kind of flat. But for what he's going for, this kind of Charlie Chaplin character, that's fine.
Yeah, but the agent's scene, she's like, oh, I take 10% industry standard. Oh, this is your publicist. She takes 10%. This is this person. They take this, they take this, they take this. And he's just like, just kind of like.
That's what I'm saying. That's the joke of every scene is him.
Latte, what are you wearing? And Latte, what is your wife wearing? And Latte, but I do have one burning question. What are you wearing?
Actually,
I'd like to tell you what I'm wearing.
I don't know.
I think his performance is good for what it is, the silent thing. I think he does
Yeah.
it well.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was probably the whole idea for the movie, is
Yeah.
I want to do this silent movie type character.
Right. In a world, in the Hollywood world, where the story of the Hollywood actor through the trials and tribulations is you are like a piece of meat that the studio molds and tells you what to do, and it's very like obvious. They cut to, I don't know whose house it was at, but there's a girl walking around. She's like, "Where's my boyfriend? Where's my boyfriend? Where did he go?" And then the door opens and Adrian Brody walks in, and she's like, "Ooh, you're so and so," and he's like, "Hey, you have a boyfriend?" "Nope." "Let's go right in the bedroom and start having sex."
Yeah.
Okay, and it's like, got it, got it.
Yeah.
And no doubt all of these things Charlie Day may have encountered in his wild Hollywood adventures. And this is his way of like kind of saying some of that, but
it's done it's intentionally lighthearted in tone. Like I think he
but
is
with
going
an R
for
rating.
Yeah, that's what's weird. Is like if you were to push that contrast between him as this happy-go-lucky simpleton and the darker side of Hollywood, like if you were to push that satire more, then you would have something. But when the whole thing has this tone of like, it kind of reminded me of like early Woody Allen too. Like the opening credits, the font kind of reminded me of Woody Allen.
Oh yeah,
font.
there's some
when
Woody
he
Allen
did his
inspiration
like,
too.
Yeah, like Sleeper, like his like straight ahead comedy movies from the 70s.
Sleeper's great.
Sleeper's good. So yeah, I think he was kind of going for that tone.
I mean, all the non-latte pronto characters are all, other than Ken Jeong, they're all just awful, and they're all like out for themselves, and that's the whole premise. But I'm not quite sure how to take it. To me, it was fascinating.
If he were like a supporting character in a larger movie about Hollywood, and he was just like an example of one type of or like a montage in another movie. The whole sequence where he like meets his wife, it's Kate Beckinsale, or he meets her on the set, they get married immediately, they go to adopt kids.
There's that.
Like that feels like a short film where it's like that's the idea.
It's a little jab at Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt.
Yeah,
with
adopting children and
right.
So that whole sequence, and then
She's
like
the vapid Hollywood actress who thinks she's changing the world. Yes.
The rise and fall of a celebrity that has no personality, nothing to offer, like as a little Armie Hammer as a segment of a larger movie, like that could work, but it just goes on. And so we felt like it was 3 hours long.
Yeah, or your Harvey Weinsteins, or like the really gross stuff
that people turn the other cheek at for the longest time because they have something to gain.
Yes,
like that. Yeah, doing like an army. Like if it turned out that this rising star was a cannibal, and his publicist and his agent and everyone are trying to figure out how to spin that.
Yeah.
Like that would be funny.
Having a naive character going through all that. I mean, that to me, that seems like something that's been done before, where I'm from Kansas and I'm going to go out to Hollywood, and then you have to go through this nightmare. But this was just different. It was so like simple and too simple. It's confounding me.
Yeah.
It's kind of wrecking my brain. And also, I didn't quite understand the appeal of Latte Pronto. Like they set it up as in he is a doppelganger of the other Charlie Day, and so they need him to complete this. That could have been the whole movie right there. We need him to complete the movie, but he doesn't talk.
Sure.
So we have to figure out how to make this work. And then the joke is that he's looking at camera all the time.
You want to get to know my brain? He's looking right into camera. Just keep rolling. You want to.
And that becomes his magical gift of him looking at camera. And someone's like, "You're breaking the fourth wall. It's great. This is magic. Everyone loves when you look at the camera." Then that sort of goes away, and then it becomes his physical comedy. And Jimmy Simpson is there, who's the Johnny Carson kind of character, and he's like, "Come on out and knock things over." You know who done this much better?
Who?
the I Didn't Do It kid episode of The Simpsons.
Oh.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Where it's like Krusty's like, come on out on stage and just stand there in the background, and Bart Simpson knocks over everything on the set, and the whole set collapses, and then awkward silence, and he goes, I didn't do it, and everyone laughs.
Yeah.
Then they realize they got a thing, and then they.
Well, that's the thing. They know what to hook into. This movie,
There's no thing.
He's a blank slate through the whole thing, and I guess that's the point. But it's not enough to hook a story on.
There is no specific thing.
Yeah.
The I Didn't Do It thing was like, they ran it into the ground.
Say the line, Bart. I didn't do it.
They turned it into a rap song. It was on T-shirts. He kept showing up, and then after a while, it got stale. And once he had outlived his usefulness, that's when they dumped him. That was like the perfect like Hollywood satire.
Yeah.
And nice and simple in 22 minutes.
Ay, caramba.
Oh, I laughed when he was doing he had the water pitcher. So he tries to pour himself some water, but it's empty. So he drops it, but it bounces back up. And he looks at it, he drops it again, and then he picks up like a glass and drops it, thinking that the same thing will happen, and just shatters.
Oh yeah, well that's like I said. I think that was the idea for the movie, was to do bits like that. And
They did one.
But there's a couple parts, like him on the talk show. So I think the idea was like, I want to play the silent movie character. What kind of situation do I put him in? Oh, I don't know, the rise and fall of a Hollywood celebrity. So then then I guess we're doing a satire. It just feels like a couple different ideas that don't really work together.
Yeah, a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Like if the fact that he was a mute, potentially a deaf mute, changed the character's perspective on the world entirely. And usually, like, people like that are a little more in tune to their physical surroundings because they're lacking certain senses.
Yeah.
But if on top of that, he was just like ultra clumsy, and he didn't say anything, and that just became a sensation. Like, do the thing where you fall down, do the thing where you break this.
Say the line, Bart.
Well, because then the angle is he's being exploited.
And you could do all your bits. And the fact that he's mute, but everyone around him is just constantly yelling, it's a good reflection of like the world we live in, where it's like he could set up a Twitter account and just like post like blank Twitter text. And like you have to go on a talk show, right? Like a political talk show. He goes on Fox News.
Oh, sure.
We have the latte pronto, and hey, what do you think about this and that? There's the cancel culture in Hollywood, and
they just project what they want onto.
Yeah, and then he's like looking up at the boom mic, and here comes the boom mic, and he's like starts batting at it like a cat. And what latte? What do you have to say about this? Because that's our world today. It's just people on their phones, people yelling, like constant barrage of information, yelling, arguing,
That's the
protesting,
concept of that movie,
clashing.
That Vengeance, yeah. That's like everyone has their take, and everybody has to constantly be giving their take.
Yeah.
And that's the much clever version of that idea in that movie.
Everyone has a take. So if you don't have a take, you don't have a voice. If you don't have a voice, you don't exist. That's what they're gonna be. Famous characters, not famous people.
Cast, because we want to talk about Glenn Howerton.
Well, that's the other contrast to this movie, is the exact same time this came out, he stars in Blackberry. Didn't write or direct it, but he's a star of it, so another It's Always Sunny cast member. Polar opposite critical reaction.
And we wanted to briefly mention the trend.
This is a weird trend.
Yes. Before, biopics, historical pics would be made about Civil War battles, presidents, famous explorers, the men that landed on the moon. But now we've shifted away from cultural heroes to pop cultural heroes. Product heroes.
Yes, yes.
The creation of the BlackBerry done in dramatic fashion. And
the Air Jordan.
There's the Air Jordan movie.
Which I watched that one.
Who's the player for the shoe?
Michael Jordan.
That was directed by Ben Affleck.
And Matt Damon's in it.
Matt
Yeah, was it
Damon's in
good?
It's well made. I mean, Ben Affleck's a good filmmaker, but it has this weird, because it's like an underdog story about them creating this shoe. But at the beginning of the movie, it's like, oh, we're only the third biggest shoe manufacturer in the country. And that's their like underdog status. It's like, I don't give a fuck. You created a $150 shoe. Good job. But it's well made and it's well acted, of course. And it does kind of, as it gets into the third act, because it deals a lot with Michael Jordan's mom, and she's the one that kind of works out the deal with Nike to make the shoe. And so there's some stuff about like, you know, money from these sales going to inner city kids and youth programs and stuff like that. So they try and work that in, but it's towards the end. But the rest of the movie is them just like racking their brain on how they can sign Michael Jordan and make this shoe. Tetris, that's another one that's out, the Tetris movie.
Yes.
Did you know, I thought this was a joke, because I was looking for other examples of this.
Oh,
There's
the
a
Cheetos movie?
Flamin' Hot Cheetos movie.
Eva Longoria produced, directed.
I mean, I guess that's kind of an underdog thing too, or the concept was by like the janitor of Frito-Lay or something. So
I mean,
they're trying to give them these angles of like, you know, it's a classic, you know, American tale of...
Where's the Rubik's Cube movie? Well, see, the Tetris trailer, I watched it and it was like, the Russian mob wants to kill you. And so if the origins of the product has a very interesting backstory or like struggle, drama to it, then by all means, make a movie about whatever you want.
Sure.
But it is sort of odd. It seems sort of almost like, I don't know, like pandering, like to a younger demographic. Like the younger demographic is not going to want to watch a movie about the Alamo. They're going to want to watch a movie about a Rubik's Cube.
The invention of a smartphone.
The invention of a BlackBerry or the Tamagotchi. What's the story behind the... I remember that when I was a kid, when I was 5, I had a Tamagotchi. Or Nintendo, Super Mario Brothers.
This trend, it's a recent trend. All these movies have come out within like months of each other, but it's
called the Tamagotchi.
It's something like that. It's ripe for going back to satire. Like to do like the, did you ever see Walk Hard?
Yeah.
The John C. Reilly movie making fun of musical biopics, musician biopics, nails every beat of those types of movies. It's
but
like
it's not
perfect.
a joke.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You do a movie like that based on a product now, that type of parody. Like it's ripe for it.
Yeah. Did you ever watch? It's on the History Channel, I think. It's called The Food That Built America.
No.
They had a series called The Men That Built America, and it was like, you know, J.D. Rockefeller and blah blah blah. But this is The Food That Built America, and it's just like going back and telling the stories of like how this fast food chain started. It was like the creation of like the Whopper, and it's very dramatic.
Whoa, hey, whoa!
It's like the McDonald's guy will like, they go out and they buy a Whopper and they bring it back to the office and he's, he tastes the Whopper and then he goes, damn it, it's so good! And then they scramble.
See, that sounds like parody.
It's hilarious. I appreciate it is tough when you come out and you make your first written and directed by movie, like B.J. Novak with Vengeance. Pretty well received, but not like this is going to the Oscars.
Yeah.
And so that was like, but when you're Charlie Day, you've been around a while, you've done a lot of comedy, a lot of movies, and you come out with your first written and directed by feature, and it just gets mutilated, both in reviews and box office. Like the box office, the domestic opening was like $400,000.
Oh.
And then,
well, it was released simultaneously, wasn't it, to theaters and VOD?
Yeah, I don't know if we figure in VOD numbers or not. Worldwide, it was like 800. So, And then, granted, it probably played on a very, very small number of screens. So it's like, what does that mean? I don't know. How much did it cost to make?
Yeah. Well, and I like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I don't watch it regularly. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah.
But it's always been funny. But it has like a pretty diehard like fan base. Like people really like that show. And I'm picturing the audience for that show and that type of humor going to see this movie and just being like, what?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't gel. It's not like clever, wacky situations that all kind of wrap up at the end. Like it's a well-designed show. It's Always Sunny.
And that's a show where everybody's an asshole, but it really works for the comedy. This one, it's just sort of annoying that everybody sucks. Like,
yeah. It's definitely a movie where if you watch it and you're not aware that it's trying to be satirical, you're just like, why is this funny?
Yeah.
I got the satire part of it, and I laughed when things were on the nose, like the 3 Mexican nannies. They all look the same. So yeah, you got someone, you stick your neck out when you do something like this, and you gotta appreciate it a little.
I mean, it doesn't feel like you watch some movies that are like written, directed, starring someone, and it feels like an annoying vanity project.
Yeah.
This to me just felt like, hey, I want to do a Charlie Chaplin homage, or to do a different type of humor than what the show had been doing for the last 15 years is.
Right.
So it's harmless, but it also never made me laugh, and except for emoticons.
Emoticon. That look like shit, right?
That's all I can say. I was somewhat intrigued. It's not a great movie. It's not even a good movie. It's just a fascinating flop. Potential to be cult classic. No.
I think it's too blah to be like Freddy Got Fingered. Like that's a movie that goes for it.
It doesn't go over the edge.
No matter how you feel about it, that sticks with you.
That ending, like it ended so awkwardly too.
Oh yeah.
With the gold nugget, and he throws it in the fish tank, and then just like the credits start rolling. It didn't have a good like. It wasn't edited very well, but yeah, Ken Jeong learns he wants his gold bracelet that says agent on it or something.
Publicist,
yeah. And then he gets an actual gold thing at the end, and he throws it away because friendship is more important than all the money in the world.
Well, he throws it away because he assumes it's not really gold.
Oh.
So there's some sort of statement about something there.
All that glitters is gold. It's not gold.
When are we going to get the biopic about the creation of that song of All Star?
Somebody wants
Smash Mouth.
I ain't the sharpest.
I've got an idea for a
See
song.
them sitting around in a dingy basement smoking.
Well,
can we get Hans Zimmer on the score? I got an idea for a song. The world is changing. Somebody once told me.
Somebody.
The world is gonna roll me. And I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. Shot of Los Angeles. Is today the day we release the song? Yes, Smash Mouth. Today's the day the world changes.
I just got the phone call. The studio wants to license the song. Which studio? All of them.
All of them. We've got to get they're gonna play this All Star on Keep It or Can It on Goofy Butthole in the Morning. That's where they play a song and 2 songs, and you say Keep It or Can It. If they say Keep It, things are gonna change for us boys. But they need the CD down by the radio station in 5 minutes. Runs up the stairs. And in reality, they just like mailed the CD like a week earlier, and it was sitting on the desk. But in the movie, it's a mad dash.
Yeah.
Construction, look out!
And then you just call the movie All Star.
Just in time, they throw it in the CD player. And if the fat guy's sweating, whatever his name is, All Star.
That's his name.
Somebody.
He legally changed his name to All Star.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a whole genre. It's a thing that's happening, but so I looked on Rotten Tomatoes for the 5-star reviews, which may have been bots. Sandra says, funny.
These are user reviews, not critic reviews.
Yeah, but they're approved user
Oh, that's right. You
reviews.
have to be approved now to.
So Sandra says, funny, period. Good actors. Maja says, it was a cute rom-com. It wasn't a rom-com.
I think they misinterpreted the relationship between Charlie Day and Ken Jeong in that movie.
The longest review, it's either written by a person whose first language is not English or an AI.
This is a user review?
Yes.
On Rotten Tomatoes?
Yes, I'm starting to become skeptical of AIs. Like they showed the movie to an AI and it belched out its interpretation of it, okay?
Okay.
The film was somewhat predictable, a parody of a mentally disabled patient who has a form of PTSD that has left him mute and non-communicative, but lost in whatever world in which he is dwelling. Since he appears indigent, the hospital puts him on a bus. Parenthetical, he has no belongings other than his clothes and derby hat. And he is thrown off the bus in downtown LA. What unfolds afterwards is a weird series of events that make him a, quote, star, but only for a sparkling moment.
Yeah, that has that weird, uncanny AI sound to it.
The real theme is not what you say, but who you are deep inside. Our hearts and senses go out to him. The publicist needs him after a medical condition lands him in a hospital. Latte Pronto, Charlie Day, is told the publicist has dies. And the wrong body is cremated by a concerned mortician, but the publicist is alive. When reunited, he finally realizes that he can speak and does so with love for another human being. His compassion and empathy brings him back to a world where he can finally say, I love you too. A deep performance by Mr. Day is outstanding. He has learned that not a clown smile, but one from deep within makes him the epitome of Charles Chaplin's music of the great classic song Smile.
Those are definitely words.
It is a joyous ending, for the smile is the beginning of his new life. I was fascinated and also felt deep empathy for this character, as the fool was not Latte Pronto, but the idiots who have attempted to relate to him and to use him and abuse him. But in a glorious moment in the sun has shone for him, and he ends up the one who can truly be a human who is smiling. This is not a film to be taken lightly. It is a deep introspective into our fake world and the fake symbols that make one important. But in the end, all you need to do is quietly smile and feel released. 4.5 stars.
Wow.
So the jury's out if this is an AI or someone who is an ESL type person.
Okay.
I don't know, but it certainly stinks of AI.
Well, let's do a comparison. Let's type into an AI bot our own. We'll say, write a positive review of the film Fool's Paradise.
Okay, see what happens.
And we'll see what happens.
Okay, I'm curious. I'm curious. It's done, Jay.
Oh, our AI review?
Yep.
All right. You told it to be positive, but not too positive, right?
Positive, but not too positive review.
Because you don't want to give it away.
Of Fool's Paradise. Here it is. Fool's Paradise, starring Charlie Day, is an interesting movie that will definitely leave you scratching your head. I found myself feeling confused at several points throughout the movie, but never to the point of frustration. The plot explores a world where people are forced to do everything they can to make their dreams come true, no matter how far-fetched or dangerous. Charlie Day plays the role of a failed magician who ends up in this world. and his performance is engaging and gripping. The characters in the movie are full of odd quirks that give them depth, making for an interesting viewing experience. Ultimately, Fool's Paradise is a great movie to watch if you're looking for something different and unique. While the plot may leave you scratching your head at times, it's still worth giving it a watch. It's definitely an enjoyable experience and one that I'd recommend to others. Overall, Fool's Paradise starring Charlie Day is definitely worth watching. It's a unique movie with an interesting plot that will leave you wanting more. The characters are engaging and the performances are top-notch. If you're looking for something different to watch, this is definitely it. Don't hesitate. Give Fool's Paradise a try. You won't be disappointed.
Wow, technology is amazing.